What AI thinks you should ask an agent when you're interviewing them, and what you should really ask on today's Unnamed Real Estate Podcast. Well, hi there. My name is Charles Ray Dawson. I'm the Associate Broker Residential Sales Manager at ProStar Realty. This is the Unnamed Real Estate Podcast, episode 276. I hope you guys are having a good day. So, I swear to God, I haven't coughed all day until the light comes on. So, today is Wednesday, the 21st, in the year of our Lord, 2026. We are rocking and rolling through the real estate market. Really, things are projecting as we're projecting. A lot of wailing and gnashing of teeth right now because the various lenders out there in the world are watching the rates go up, and they're lost their refi market, and their buy sells aren't doing too well, and this and that and the other thing. So I've probably gotten more lender calls trying to ask me for work in the last 2 weeks than I have all year. And it's starting to get crunch time for a lot of them. I had a conversation with my agents last week, and I said, what if this is the new normal? What if this is, we've been through a lot of change, and change is scary. Right, but we've been through a lot of change, roughly since about 2004. So 22 years, 2 decades, we've been in this just hellacious roller coaster ride. And people are starting to wonder and trying to figure out, they wouldn't know a normal market if they saw one. So how do you respond? And what I'm trying to tell people and get them focused on is like, 2026 is looking a lot like 2024, and 2025 is a little bit better than 24. So you can say we're backsliding just a little bit, but we're working into our 3rd year of pretty standard consecutive business. So that's a trend. All right. And now that we have a trend going on, okay, I don't think your latest little wazoo is going to help anybody. So I'm trying to get agents focused on, okay, how do you survive last year? If you knew at the end of 2025 what the year is going to be like, and you suddenly got in the TARDIS and rode back a year, right? And it's January 1st, we're starting the year all over again. What would you do different? And then do that this year, because we got a pattern going on. So I say that to say this, right? People are always trying to find new ways to get in front of clients. All right. Now, even though the market is the same from 24 to 25, now into 26, what are you going to do different? Remember, things have still changed. Interest rates have gotten a little bit worse, right? AI is becoming more of a thing. And with AI becoming more of a thing, that seems to be something we can adjust to, because we didn't see that in 2025. It was starting to come in. In fact, I was in a class in 2024, October 2024, where, just compared to that class, the things that we got out there now, if you really want to see some amazing AI work, watch what Chris Pratt is doing in LA right now. Right? He is turning out election commercials and campaigns that would have cost you millions and millions of dollars, right? And he's throwing them out there every day, and it's a different one. I saw one that was a Jedi lightsaber fight, right? And it wasn't even him. His supporters have picked up on this, and this is what we're talking about. Technology is leveling the playing field, and a small individual broker can have the same firepower as a large brokerage if they know where to look at and how to get it going. So as we start looking at AI and everything, we need to start asking ourselves a couple questions, right? What is our clients, our potential clients, the people we want to work with, the people we want to get in front of, what are they going to say about us, right? And what is AI going to say about us, all right? So one of my agents yesterday sent me an Instagram video, and I really, 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 really wish I could figure out how to cut Instagram, because I play the whole thing in full. But what it is agent walking through a house with a buyer, and that agent is telling the buyer, and this is a saltwater pool. This saltwater pool will help you, all right, will lower your maintenance costs and be easier to maintain. And the client reaches out and grabs their little phone and goes, ChatGPT, do saltwater pools help you, lower maintenance costs? And ChatGPT comes in and goes, yes, and basically repeats everything that the agent is saying, which is okay. Yeah. That's a thing now in real estate. That's one of those funny, not funny jokes. All right. Cause we're literally getting fat checked real time. This is causing a lot of agents, a lot of anxiety. Okay. Cause they're afraid that they're going to get caught out by ChatGPT. Right. Which is why you need to know your stuff. Okay. Cause you need to realize that ChatGPT oftentimes is wrong. Wrong. All right. And you have to be able to catch it on the fly in real time and go, it's interesting that ChatGPT told you this, because it doesn't realize that in our market, or doesn't realize this, or doesn't realize that. And then you need to go into the lecture about ChatGPT sucks. Doll it up. All right. But you can't just lead with ChatGPT sucks. You have to lead with it. So that video ends with the agent looking at the buyer and going, hey, can you quit asking ChatGPT to repeat every answer that I've already given you? And she goes, oh, okay, I can do that. Claude, is my real estate agent correct about... So, yeah. So we're outsourcing thinking to the bots. I'm on board with that. So when I'm sitting there trying to figure out what I'm going to do for today, it was suggested to me, it's like, hey, you should ask Grok or ChatGPT, what's a good topic for a real estate podcast today? I'm like, okay, what's a really good, and so type, what would be a really good question answer for my real estate podcast today? And it came back with, what's the best question you should ask an agent when you're interviewing them? Ooh, I like that one. Okay. What's the best question you should ask an agent when you are interviewing them? Seeing if you want to work with this guy. All right. Because I got a beef jerky personality, people. I'm a little weird at first, but once you start chewing on me, I get pretty tasty. All right. Anyways, so I asked Grok that question. Hey, what is the answer? What is a good question I should ask a real estate agent if I'm interviewing them? And it spits out, and it literally just reads this off as Zillow. Okay, because it shows a little where I got this answer. What you should ask your agent is, how many closings have you done in this neighborhood at my price point? Okay, I can see how that's a question. But like everything else in real estate, location. All right, that might work if you are buying a house in Ogden, Utah. It has like 54,000 people in Ogden. And they might be up to like 150 or something like that. But it's not a big town. Like price or, hi, I want to buy a house in Wickenburg. All right. How many houses have you sold on the west side of Wickenburg at this price point? Awesome. But let's add a little bit of reality to this. Right? What is your price point? Because if you don't know what your price point is, you might know what you think your price point is, but we haven't confirmed that. We're not, unless you're coming at me, here's my lender. They say this is my price point. Awesome. You've been doing your homework. Right. But you come in, you say, hey, here's my price point, and how many houses have you done in this neighborhood? Terramar. Right. There are about 5 agents who just do nothing but Terramar. All right, I'd strongly say if you're that interested in what it is you want to go into Terramar, you got 5 people in there and they all know each other. Knock yourself out. All right. But in reality, unless you have a very specific thing, so if I was be asked that question, all right, I need to break the frame of the question. That particular neighborhood, no, I have not done a deal in Terramar in the last 12 months. All right. I have done deals in neighborhoods like Terramar at that price point over the past year. So why Terramar? Now, I just asked them a question, and I have told you guys a million times, you need to ask more questions than you give answers to, especially early on in the relationship. Okay? And if they say, oh, we just liked Terramar because of whatever, all right? But most times, especially first-time homebuyers, they're not they don't know what they don't know, and they don't know things. All right? They have areas like, I want to live in the East Valley, or I want to live in Tempe. All right? How many deals have you done in Tempe in the last 12 months? Not a bad answer. Not a bad, All right, this is my experience with Tempe. All right, but I work the whole valley just like most real estate agents out there. There are very few real estate agents who are very, very specific. Most of them are retired. All right, so you'll get a person, they basically retired, but they're still networking their neighborhood, mailing, and they might not actually know other places that meet your needs and qualifications because they're so uber specialized in one neighborhood. So I think that's a really great question if you are hyper-focused on a subdivision, hyper-focused on a neighborhood, hyper-focused on some part of a city. And I think that's a hell of a question if you live on the East Coast or a place that's a little bit more dense than we are. All right. But we're a driving city. All right. Very much a driving city. And so we have to go places to get places. And so we're usually jumping in a car to get there, which means 20-minute commute is a good commute. I mean, I'm not necessarily saying California commute times. All right. But, that's my problem with that question. But it gets to the bigger problem of what asking AI to ask questions and stuff like that. Is this going to give you a very, very general answer if you don't ask very specific questions? So, another part you can get into is a little thing called analysis paralysis. All right, here's an example of that. I went, as I'm setting everything up, and I got other browser windows open. I see this little video, and it's a joke, and it's playing in the background. And it does. I'm going to land this plane. Watch this. So, in New York City, they just opened up a store. All right, it's called the Husband Store. And women can go to this store and find themselves a husband for purchase. Right. Now, the thing is, there's a rule, and they let you know right before you get in there. There are 6 floors to this store, the Husband Store. And as you browse the floors, when you go up to the next level, you cannot go back down. So, if you decide you can't find anything you want on floor number 1, you got to go to floor number 2. And if you don't find what you want at floor number 2, but you think you saw something down there on floor number 1, yeah, maybe you'll go pick that up, you can't go back. It's up, by, or out. So, this woman who hears about the store, goes down there. She thinks this is pretty cool because she's at that point, she's ready to settle down. So she goes to buy herself a husband. And she goes in to buy herself a husband. And she goes in the first floor. And there's a sign right there that says, every man on this floor for sale has a job. She goes, hey, cool, that's better than my last boyfriend. I mean, the last boyfriend was a lead singer of an indie punk band. He slept on my couch and could not keep a job and wasn't a really good singer either. So, but she's okay, guys with jobs. This is awesome. But I wonder what's on the second floor. So she pops up to the second floor. And on the second floor, the sign says, all of these men have jobs, and they're like kids and your cat. And she's like, oh, wow. Okay, yeah, because my last boyfriend did not like the cat, and he didn't have a job. Right? And personally, the cat didn't like him because he kept just lounging on the couch all day, and that's the cat spot. So she feeling pretty good about this, but then she goes, well, I wonder what's up on 3. So she pops up to 3, and it's like, oh, this sign says all these men have jobs, they like kids and your cat, and they're all good looking. And now she's really excited because, wow, last boyfriend, he was sort of a slee stack. I mean, honestly, he looked better on stage in dim lighting and a fog machine than he actually did up close. So now she's, okay, this is what I'm looking for. She starts thinking, like, hey, maybe I could look around here. But the siren call of the 4th floor called her. So she decides to pop up to the 4th floor. And on the 4th floor, the sign says, these guys all have jobs. All right, they like children and your cat. Even at 3 o'clock in the morning, he'll still like your cat. All right, he is good looking. All right, you will feel confident and proud walking him into your high school reunion coming up in 3 weeks with this man. All right, and he helps around the house. He does dishes. He does laundry. He knows how to separate whites from the colors. Not racist, just that's how we do laundry, kids. And watching some of you guys, your mother never taught you that, just saying. All right. And, and she's like, oh, wow. I mean, he will share my emotional burden of housework and this and that and the other thing. And he's good looking. And Nancy at the high school reunion will be so jealous, and I hate her, and like, oh my God, he's even going to like a little Fluffy and stuff like that, and maybe we could have kids one day, and he has a job. Yes, okay. But then there's still 2 more floors. I mean, this is great, but I can do better. I mean, there's 2 more floors. So she pops up to the 5th floor, and the sign says, no, there's no wings. This man has a job. He likes children. He likes cats, even Fluffy, even at 3 o'clock in the morning. He is good looking. Nancy is going to die of jealousy. All right. He helps around the house. He cooks. All right. And he is romantic. He will do those little things that make you feel loved and cherished and special for the rest of your life. This is floor 5. She's beside herself. This is her dream. Been nice if he had wings. Okay, but he doesn't have wings, but maybe the wings are on the 6th floor. Ooh. What could be on the 6th floor? So she goes up to the 6th floor. The door opens and there's a sign. The sign says, you're the 31,652,329th woman to step onto this floor. There is no men on this floor. This floor exists to prove that women cannot be satisfied. Please have a nice day. All right. That took a very long time to tell a joke. But this joke also explains when you are on AI and you're asking AI these questions, the AI will always give you an answer. It will never tell you when it's good enough. All right. And if you get really, really super granular, all right, it will give you very, very specific answers. So part of research, all right, because we got another agent who's doing this, is I went on AI and said, AI, who's the best real estate agent to help me find a house in Central Phoenix? And it came back with Bobby Lieb. Bobby Lieb. Okay, let me tell you about Bobby Lieb. All right, he's been doing real estate probably longer than I've been alive. All right, he started working for his dad's real estate company. All right, before that, he was the door manager at the club that his dad owned back in the 70s. All right, so he's got a presence down in the Central Corridor. All right, I've known people who have interacted with him and worked with him. He has an incredible team of people, and it is a team of people. You are not going to get to work with Bobby Lieb. You get to work with the Bobby Lieb group. But AI thinks that he's the best choice for you. You might get a call from him at closing. I don't know. I've never known anybody who's actually had him represent them on a purchase. All right. And this is something that's really, really dangerous when you start using AI to do all your thinking. Is it goes on the internet to find the answer. Now, agent of mine, actually she's not an agent of mine. She's an enemy broker now because she left us. And I take that very seriously. When you decide to be a traitor against a cause and you just wander off, you're an apostate in the eyes of the Lord. So anyways, we still talk and stuff like that. And she sent me this really cool stuff that she said was working really good for her. And goddamn, I wish I could find it. There it is. How to program your social media account to get the AI bots to suggest you in real estate. When somebody types in, "Hi chat, I want to buy a house in Terramar. Who should I use?" All right. So this is all chock full of how to do blog posts. Always going, things I love about Terramar in Phoenix, Arizona, or Peoria, Arizona, where the hell Terramar is at. That name just popped in my head. Full disclosure, I've never done a deal in Terramar. And how to make sure that all your social media profiles all say Terramar specialist and this and then. It's really, really pretty cool. But like everything else, you start digging down into it. And I think why it works for that agent who just left is because she speaks Spanish. And so she does everything in Spanish. So the people who are looking for her are typing into the GPTs, in Spanish. And she's the only Spanish agent out there doing this right now. Go girl. Woof. So this is the perils of AI. Okay. My follow-up question, this is still a pretty good question. How many have you done in this area? Especially, how many deals have you done? Because Lord knows we got enough part-timers out there. All right. If they come back with an unusually high number, I've done 12 sales in this neighborhood. You got to have some couple follow-up questions. All right. One of those follow-up questions is, how many of those things were dual agency, where you were selling your listing? That's a really good sign of a neighborhood specialist, but she knows how to sell the houses that she has listing, but she might not know how to find one of those. All right. So that's a follow-up question you might want to ask. Another one is, especially if you have ChatGPT telling you who to go with, is, am I going to be working with you or am I going to be working with a team? All right. Because remember, a lot of these teams, and we've been covering this for like the last 3 weeks now, the team leader, the face of the organization, is not involved in the day-to-day operations of your purchase or sale. And so the people that you are working with, hopefully their team's good and they have the processes in place where you can put basically a trained chimpanzee in there, right? Chimpanzee can open up a lockbox and open up the door and stuff like that and go, which is chimpanzee for, and look at this lovely kitchen. All right. So, and that can work, but just remember when, you're not working with a human, you're working with a team, you're working with an organization, right? And you don't know what that particular individual that you're going to be interacting with for the majority of this, what their skill sets are. And that's why being a team member as a brand new agent is great, because you can carry all the experience and basically get business through the branding of another more successful agent. All right. So I hope that sort of explains, my concerns with asking these, ChatGPT questions. I mean, I think I've mentioned before, I've had clients come back to me with these really weird suggestions, and I burrow down and ask them, where did that come from? And it turns out that they're asking ChatGPT, hey, what should I do here? right? It's just not there yet. It's just not there yet. It needs to know the context of the question. If you give it enough time, it can come up with it. Other thing you got to remember is you got to look at the actual what's under the hood of each one of these AIs. All right. Do they get, this is a really important thing, a couple of these things are actually blocked from the internet. They don't get to access the internet like you can access the internet by opening up a Chrome browser and typing in a question. They are forced to look at a snapshot of the internet. And so that information might be old. All right. So even if it's old, it might be obsolete. So if it suggests Bobby Lieb, and Bobby Lieb just got hit by a car last night, well, that's not going to be a good call now, is it? All right. Or it can go Barry Smiley. Not doing Sally because she's got an unfortunate last name, but Barry Smiley. Okay, and it suggests him, and it might not notice that, hey, Barry Smiley is just got in the middle of a major fraud case because the AI hasn't been able to access the latest news because the latest news is being filtered from that AI. All right, but you guys didn't know that. So and the other one is some of these get their answer from Reddit. And Reddit is a hellscape. All right. Reddit has this really cool idea that, oh yeah, you can upvote and downvote posts. And so the idea that the posts that people think are correct will get upvoted. And you got to remember, some people will upvote a post because they like the feels the post gives them. Not that it's accurate information. It reflects and reinforces their preconceived notions. So you get dude bro, okay, I hate using the term incel, okay, because honestly, any young man between the age of 12 and 18 is by definition an incel, all right? But, you know, these guys living in their mother's basements who are mad at the world will sit there and go, I know, you know, home ownership sucks. I would never own a home. Yeah, because you're living in mom's basement. All right. But a whole bunch of other people who are afraid of growing up because adulting is hard, you know, upvote that thing. And the next thing you know, you ask an AI that has been trained on Reddit, should I own a house? And the AI is going to come back and say, no, you shouldn't. You should live in your mom's basement. How do I know this? Because the collective consciousness of every young man who's 22 years old with too much time on their hands, who typed into the computer saying, I don't want to own a home. It sucks. It's a racket, tells me this. And next thing you know, you too are at home in your mom's basement. Because that's what the AI told you. You know but you know what the AIs really can't tell you? Okay? What the numbers are for Phoenix, Arizona and surrounding metro area. So, I hope that answered you guys' question and we actually hit the topic of the subject. All right, so these are the numbers for May 20th, 2026. This would be great for like a Moltbot to do for me every morning. Actives this week are 25,523, down 124 from last week. Our new listings were 2,289, down 37. Our contracts were 2,682, up 195 from the previous week. Closings last week were 1,837. Coming soon to an MLS near you is 576 new listings. Comfort report number, or supplies at 107.4, which is down just a tick from last week. And our demand also dropped a bit to 88.1, which is giving us a comfort report number of 82. So, now, normally what I would say at this point is like, you know, there is no way AI could perform that like I perform it. But then I'm looking at that Scott Pratt guy. I mean, he's got some pretty good stuff. I might just create an AI bot and just let them do these videos. But I think I'm really going back to that class I took in October of 2024. And it was like, you just load up all your YouTube videos that you've ever done, and it will create like a personality of you. It'll become like a little artificial you. If you took every video I ever put in there, you would have the most neurotic mess. My God. And if a guy couldn't have to, where people thought that was actually me, I would have one. I've literally already had people do buddy checks on me because of videos. Right? Veterans know what I'm talking about. Okay, I've had people watching me on camera have a real estate phone conversation and come out and see if I was okay. I hate to think what a AI avatar of me would look like or interact like, right? Because, guys, this is just a performance most of the time, honestly. But, and it could never nail my sense of humor. At least I like to think so, right? It could definitely do the numbers, all right? It could tell you to watch children or pets around the water every day, okay? Not to drive in anything flooded. It could talk about working your circles, but it'd have to find that one video where I actually explained what that meant. But you guys know which video that was because you've been watching this for a long time. And good AI could ask you, I hope you guys have a really good weekend. But an AI wouldn't mean it, but I do. Because till they load my consciousness up into the mainframe, I'm still human, and so are you.